So when I make an arse of myself, it will be edited accordingly.
So how are you doing?
I'm alright, how are you?
I'm alright, I was playing golf today.
Oh yeah, last time I seen you was Jay's 40th.
Aye, in the bowling club.
Aye.
Mm-hmm. Aye, I remember.
That was a while ago now.
I remember saying to you then about doing this, eh?
Aye. But you've been at me for a while.
Aye.
But every time I'm like, I'm on holiday. No, I'm on holiday. No, I'm on holiday. No, I'm busy.
Aye, and you're finally here.
And I'm finally here. Do you want to start from the bottom up then instead of the top down? Because you always go from the top.
Oh, shake up a bit.
Aye. And then you can edit and do it the other way around.
We'll make start with the final question.
Go on then.
What's the next 5 years going to look like?
What's the next 5 years going to look like? Different car, different house, more holidays.
Okay.
And they're all personal related. Not one of them are work related. Do you not notice that?
Fair enough. What's the next 5 years work-wise then?
Different car. That's it.
Different car.
Different car.
What do you remember about learning to drive?
So I passed my test on the 5th of December 2000 on the 1333.
I thought you were going to say it on the 5th attempt there.
Oh God, no. So I turned 17 middle of October and I passed my driving test 7 weeks later. I took 2 lessons at 1.5 hours. 2 lessons a week at 1.5 hours. And I went out every day with my dad because see where we lived, you either learnt to drive or you didn't go anywhere. That was the long and the short of it. There was a bus in the morning, a bus at lunchtime and a bus at night, and that was it.
Well, that's very good. In fact, it's better than what I did.
What did you do?
I was 3 months from my 17th.
Were you?
And I was getting 4 hours a week. It was
Lessons?
It was only meant to be 2, but my pal, who had the same guy, he kept getting like a sore back, so he couldn't do his lessons, so I was like, I'll take them. So I was getting my 2 a week and then his 2, so I was getting 4 hours a week. Mm-hmm. How many did you have? Very
good question. I honestly would like to say it was only in the mid-20s because now you're 40 to 45 is the recommended. I didn't do anywhere near that. But I recently taught my daughter to drive. That's a whole new ballgame. Mm-hmm. That's a whole new ballgame.
How many arguments did you have?
None.
Really?
Not one. In all fairness to her, not one. But she drove everywhere. Everywhere. She was originally manual and we got a week down the line and the tears happened. And then we flipped to auto and that was a whole different ballgame. But because, I'm the same as you, I teach auto, it meant that because I had my car, dual controlled, we could go anywhere. Mm-hmm. So we went everywhere. We went up to my mum's. So my mum is Lookers. Obviously, I'm just outside Livingston. She would drive that motorway up there, the slip roads. Went to Edinburgh. We went anywhere that I had to go. She was coming with me. No questions asked. So
she got a bit of I suppose it's private practice all the time. Eh?
But how many people though have that luxury of like, right, we're going up to your grandma's, let's go. And it's on the motorway. And she's like, what's going on here? And I'm just like, right, let's go. And you're going through all the motions. And I think for her, it was a bit like, oh shit, right, okay, we need to get this done. And I was like, no, you need to get this done. I was like, you're going to college. We don't have a bus service in the village that we live in. She was in the same boat as me. Aye. So I was just like, we need to do this. And she passed in 8 weeks.
Wow. That's incredible.
First time.
Yeah.
So did I. For the next one, which is my stepson and my daughter, they both turned 17 within weeks of each other. She set the standard and she set it pretty high.
So will they do the auto as well?
I think Cody will go manual. So he'll need to buy himself a wee car to do that. And Sarah, my youngest, I don't know. She's had a shot of my car off-road. She liked the auto. But she knows herself that manual's the cheapest way to do it, as in car-wise on the other side.
Probably easier to find one.
Manual. Mm-hmm. I'd agree with that. Finding Amy's auto It took me the 8 weeks to find Amy's auto. I was on Gumtree, Facebook Marketplace. You don't want to be buying new because you're like, she's going to hit it. If she writes it off, let's face it, it's a possibility. Mm-hmm. Don't get me wrong, with 2 years down the line, none that's happened. But you do sit there and go, you don't want to be going spending 10 grand on a car. Not being funny, who's got 10 grand to drop on a car? You don't want them taking out finance because they're young. And so, yeah, we 4 grand VW up that goes not at 16, about 10 and a half.
Do you know what, though? Even though it's, you know, an older car or whatever, everyone loves their first car.
Yeah, she loves that car. She's not parting with that car anytime soon. She's had it 2 years. Every time it's gone through its MOT, it's never needed any work. She's literally waited to put her first set of tyres on it, and that's it. Literally 2 years of free motoring. It just doesn't happen, does it?
I mean, I have fond memories of my wee first car, and it was nothing special. The wee Ford Fiesta.
Remember hearing that on your other podcast? It was a wee Fiesta. Is that what you like to drive in?
Well, it wasn't that car, but my instructor had a Fiesta, but it was a new one.
Well, that's what they say. They reckon the chances are within either your first or second car that you learn to drive in will be your first or second car. Mm-hmm. If that makes sense.
I think it was a bit of coincidence because I think we had... This is going to make me feel old. This was back in the day where you would get remember the yellow paper? Do you remember that?
Yes,
you'd
I
pick
do.
up in the garage and you'd look through it all. And there was this car that was like £275. And my dad bought me it.
Where else are you getting a car for £275?
I mean, it was no very bonny looking. Mm-hmm. But, you know, I loved it.
Yellow paper.
The yellow paper, right?
Mate, that makes me feel old.
I know. I done a podcast last week with someone that I done lessons with. Mm-hmm. And we were sitting in... for some reason, we got talking about the shop Comet.
Oh, geez, all right, okay.
Like, what's Comet? And I was just like, it's like Dixon's and that. Mm-hmm. What's Dixon's? I was like, for real?
Wow.
Am I that old? She was like, I think what you thought about.
In my head, Dixon's hasn't long gone out the game. Like, genuinely.
She had never heard it. And I was like, Curry's? She was like, no Curry's. But that's made me feel super old. So, you passed first time. Mm-hmm. Any minors?
I want to say 5. When my mum was clearing out her house a handful of years ago, we came across my test sheet.
Right.
From back in the day. And there was 5, 3 for mirrors.
3 for mirrors.
And I can't remember what the other 2 were, but 3 for mirrors. And I always remember him saying to me, that's why I kept pulling you over. I remember that at the very end because it was Cooper, which isn't a test centre anymore. Mm-hmm. It was Cooper, and you went out this tiny wee car park across the road from this tiny wee test centre. It was a one-man test centre. And they would come out to the car park to meet you. You never went in. They would come out to meet you. And and I remember him saying at the end, going, his words were, it was something along the lines of, I kept pulling you over, and I knew after a while you knew why I was pulling you over, because all of a sudden those mirror checks and that blind spot started to affect the game. But I always remember my instructor saying, if he keeps pulling you over, there's a reason for it. And I use that now for my students, going, if he starts pulling you over more than 3 times, there's something going on. And I now use that. So that's something I've taken from when I would been 17 and learning to drive, and I now put into my own teaching. Which I never thought would happen.
I still remember certain things that my instructor told me. Mm-hmm. And we're going back 24, 5 years ago.
I'm trying to think, I'm 24 years. Mm-hmm. 24 years.
You passed 2001?
2000. December 2000.
I could never remember. I was either 2000 or 2001.
2000.
God, a long time ago. Mm-hmm.
We sound really old, by the way. You have to edit all that out.
I know. So, when and how and why did you decide, right, I know what I want to do for a living. I want to be a driving instructor?
When I was pregnant with my second daughter. And so beforehand, I had worked. So before I'd had my oldest, I'd worked in hotels all my life. And I'd worked food and beverage, I'd worked the front desk, I'd worked pretty much almost every department apart from housekeeping. And it got to the point of going, this is shift work. When I came back from maternity, going back to work just didn't happen. So I was a stay-at-home mum for a couple of years, because unless I could get a regular 9-to-5 job or a job that was easy hours, then that was the only way I was returning to work. And my dad was going through the process of qualifying to be a driving instructor. So I just went, let's give this a bash. And it was literally, let's give this a bash, because it can't be any worse than what I already am. I'm a stay-at-home mum. I'm bored out my mind. Whilst I love my kids, you still need that bit of adult talk. Does that make sense?
Aye, absolutely.
So I was pregnant with Sarah, and I went with a company down south called, they're not in business anymore, called Key Driver Training. They went under. But I'd done my part, they send you all your materials, part 1. Part 2, the trainer came up. Now, the guy that done my part 2 training was, I have never met a trainer like him in my life. He was amazing. Like, wow. And I'd done my part 2 with him, and he was hard, but he was on the ball. Adam, his name is. I believe he's still doing the rounds. And then I done my part 2 when I was 36 weeks pregnant.
Wow.
I remember the examiner turned around and saying to me, because I sat it in Dundee, because that's where my dad lived, and he turned around and he says to me, so we have to do an emergency stop, and I'm obviously aware of your condition. I'm 36 weeks pregnant. It's just like, all right. But it's just like, and like I said, I was like, even if we were in the real world and I had to stop, I wouldn't not, because I'm pregnant. So let's get on with it. So yeah, passed that first time. And then my daughter was 8 weeks pregnant when I started the part 3 training.
When the trainer says to you, I'm assuming it started with something like, how's your driving? Or how do you think your driving is? Was it something like that?
Adam was a trainer, a civilian trainer for the traffic police down south for the area that he lived in. I don't know where he lives now. But Adam, he didn't ask how your driving was. He was just like, straight into it. And he didn't straight away. He was like, straight into the mock. Straight away. Didn't ask me what my opinions were. He straight into it. And
how was that?
And he says, I have never come that close to passing anybody, but you didn't pass. I was just like, why are you telling me that? He was like, literally, he was just like, and it was coming on the motorway at that, and that's why I remembered it, because I didn't do a blind spot check over my shoulder. And, well, you know that road is busy, that motorway is heaving. And that was what done it. And he said, if you'd done that, you would have been the first person I have ever passed in all the time that I have done this.
So did you not need much training then for the part 2?
I'm not saying my standard of driving was probably where it is at now. I think I was just more aware. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Because the situation that I knew I was putting myself into, I was like, I need to be on the ball here. I can't drop the ball. So I was on my game from day one, going like, right, what am I doing?
And were you then sort of tapping into things that you remember from your training before, like, and were you like actively trying to drive the way that you know that you should?
One thing that my dad always said to me was, and I find this as an instructor, and I didn't realise at the time. So I went out with my dad a couple of times just to kind of get to know the areas that they do in Dundee, because that's where he lived. And it was just like, this is where we do reverse round the corner. And obviously at the time they'd done a left, but as an instructor, you'd also do a right reverse round the corner. Yep. And he's like, right, this is where we do this, and this is where we do this, and just watch out for this. And we'd done a lot of that. And then I remember just finding myself going, I need to do this. I need to do this. I need to do this. And my dad was like, yeah, you do. And I was like, right, okay. And he's like, but you'll find yourself. And one thing he actually always said to me, slightly off topic, moving back to like the teaching side, the one thing he says to me is, the style that you teach will be the way that you drive. That's it. And he's talking more about like the blind, and see now, he's right though. I genuinely didn't believe him. So it's like, you're constantly on to people like mirrors, blind spots, whatever. And I find myself now constantly being like that. And I've been a driving instructor for 16 years. Aye.
It's funny. Again, you've done better than I did, because my trainer said to me, how's your driving?
Oh, really?
Aye. I says, I'm a great driver. I said, I've only had a few bumps over the years, you know. He says, right. He had a manual car, and he says, just go for a wee drive and I'll just watch you. And I'm honestly thinking, well, mate, you're not going to find much. How can I muck this up? I'm just, a driver. 15 seconds most, I think, before he says, Gary, pull in.
Oh, really?
So even as I'm pulling in, I'm doing things wrong. Like I'm knocking it into neutral in the way, and I'm genuinely like, what? And he's like, Yeah, you know, did the check any blind spots before moving off. In fact, he was like, you never had your left hand on the wheel. It stayed on the gear stick the whole time. I was like, oh, yeah.
I would say you do it now, but you don't. You've got an auto.
Been a while since I've done manual. A lot of years. Don't miss it.
I don't miss the manual either. No, I couldn't. Scott's got a van now. So he met me. He was manual. He didn't understand why people went auto. And then he started driving my car all the time.
Then he knew.
And then he knew. And then he eventually bought an auto. He had 2 autos. And then when he bought the van, he had to go back to manual. And I had to drive it the other day. It was yesterday I drove it. And I'm like, this is an effort.
It is a chore, eh?
It is a chore.
A few years back, Jay had to go to the hospital to get an eye check or something. And he told me he needed to get drops in his eyes as part of the check. And he says he'll not be able to drive home. So he says, can I come with him and just drive his car back? I was like, aye. And it was, I can't remember, I had a Golf or something. But it's the first time in a while I'd driven a manual.
It is a chore. Nobody actually prepares you for that. I know it sounds really daft, but nobody prepares you for the manual to the auto. You sit in an auto for easily 4 or 5 years, and then you go back and you go, whoa, wait until you go from manual to auto. You sit in a manual, or an auto, sorry, for as long as what we have, and then you have to teach your child to drive a manual. That's a whole different ballgame. Because remember that clutch that we haven't had to teach for the last, 10 years? It's 10, 12 years for me. I haven't taught a manual until I had to teach my daughter to drive.
The only time I do manual lessons now, and it's very rare, is if somebody's maybe got their own car and they want to learn in that and there's no pedals in it.
No.
It's hard work, that, eh?
Sorry. You have instructors you can pass them on to.
No, it's not so bad now. I genuinely couldn't think of anything worse than if I ever had to go back and teach manual. It's just, that clutch pedal just, nope. I love it when I get to speak to people who are on board with prefer an automatic. You'll have had this a million times, I'm sure you will. People that you teach, because it's an automatic, their pals are saying to them, that's no real driving. You get that a lot?
A lot.
I mean, I just say to them, what? It should be the other way around. You should be saying, what are you doing the gears for?
That was Scott. When I met Scott, that was Scott. That was my husband when I met him. He did not understand this concept. He would be like, and he did, he goes, I get why you do it because it's your job. He goes, but I don't get why people choose it as a lifestyle. And at the time when he met me, I had a manual. My manual was an E-Class Mercedes because it was my main car, and I had bought a wee cheap Corsa to start me off. It cost me £80 a month from, I think it was Peter Vardy. Over
£80 a month.
£80 a month, right? But it was like a test car to see. And the way I looked at it was, see if this doesn't work, it's £80 a month, you know. And my A-Class was sitting on the drive, and that was what I mainly taught in. And I just slowly started building it up. And when I met Scott, he was just like, I don't get it. I don't understand why people would do it. You don't have the freedom. You don't have the choice. You get to pick and choose your gears. I'm going, you've got these things called flappy paddles. But he couldn't get that mindset. And one day his car broke down. And the whole thing just basically, it needed a new engine. And so because I had the 2 cars and we didn't live together, whatever car I wasn't using, he was then using. And at the time I was mainly manual. So he was running around in my wee Corsa. And all of a sudden he was like, oh, hang on a minute. This isn't what I thought it was going to be. So that was the start of the conversion from him, because he was just like, and don't get me wrong, it was a 09 plate Corsa, so it wasn't as smooth as even the automatics today that are petrol or diesel. But even he was like, oh, okay, this isn't such a bad thing. And then he then went on to buy an auto after that.
It's super common that people think they hate automatic and don't understand it. They try it, they love it, they then go on to buy it and switch. Oh God, I remember so probably like 15 years I've done this, so I reckon it would have been maybe my first year doing this, and I got an inquiry in for somebody that says, do you do automatic lessons? And I swear I read it and I thought, what the hell do they mean automatic? And I'm thinking, do they mean an automatic pass?
Right, okay.
And I'm like, there's no such thing as like a guaranteed pass.
When did you start teaching auto then? How long have you taught auto for?
I think it was maybe about 2012.
We must have gone about the same time then. We must have converted roundabout. Well, I didn't fully convert at the same time, but and when I don't know about you, but in my area, there was only 3 automatic driving instructors, and I was the 3rd.
I think I might have been the 2nd.
Mm-hmm.
It was very
very rare.
It was hard to find an automatic instructor. And what's it like now in your area? Is everyone automatic?
They're going that way now. We're starting to see the influx, which in some ways is not a good thing, because the people that I don't know about your clientele that you have, your students, a lot of mine, and I don't know if it's just a reputation that I've built, I'm not sure, but I have a lot of kids that have got, or not even kids, but adults that have got ADHD, autism, dyspraxia, dyslexia, the list goes on, and the majority of my work is that. And then you've got these people that are coming in, and there's a few that are going straight to auto because that's where they think the money is.
Oh, do you mean instructors are just going straight?
Yeah, so people will qualify, or they're trying to qualify. The PDIs, the potential driving instructors of the world, are coming in and they're going straight to auto. So you're seeing the influx that way. But the problem that we've got is because a lot of these people got additional needs, they don't know how to cope with them as an instructor, because they're trying to learn themselves how to become an instructor. They're using their pink badge or their trainee badge to gain that skill. But then you've got somebody in that other seat that has then got a whole host of things going on that they don't know how to cope and understand with. And the whole thing is just turned into a bit of a shit show, really.
Do you think a lot of these PDIs, these new instructors, do you think they'll stay around?
No. I don't know what the problem is like where you guys are, compared to where we are. We've got a massive influx of them just now. It's huge. Can I guess from what you're going to say?
Yeah. You can say it. I can beep it.
Can you beep it then?
Yeah.
Will you beep it?
Yeah.
No.
No. No.
Is it?
Yeah.
Aye. I've seen him popping up on my Facebook feed and I was like...
I think it's more the fact that the market's saturated with instructors now, so there's probably going to be less work for a lot of these people.
We're already seeing the slowdown now, like literally in the last handful of weeks. We've seen it. I mean, this is the first time in 10 years that I've had spaces I've not been able to fill. The first time in 10 years.
I think the COVID backlog's done now. Like there was a huge backlog. I think that's cleared. I think there's far more instructors now, a lot of them trainees, than there used to be.
There's a lot of trainees, a lot where we are. It's insane.
Aye.
It's to the point of every other car that's passing you, the amount of work I have taken from them in the past because of exactly what I've just said to you earlier. The people that are sitting in that driver's seat have got something going on, such as ADHD, autism, whatever, and they don't know as an instructor how to cope with it. They have absolutely no clue. None whatsoever.
Takes a while of doing this and working with different types of people to realise what works for certain types of people. And I think if you're coming in new to this game and right away you try to deal with that, that's going to be...
But it's more and more. This is the thing though, and it's like we're really lucky because where we are, we've got an instructors association like you guys, and we've got a separate like group on WhatsApp specifically for the PDIs and it is an open forum that they can ask any question without feeling stupid, and that's the reason why we have it, because you'll know yourself from way back in the day when you're training, sometimes you just didn't want to ask questions because you're like, I am just going to sound stupid. And
are the people nice enough with answers?
They are, in all fairness. We only have a handful of ADIs in there that are been in the game for a long time, like myself. We've left a few in there that have just passed to give advice on to the people that are coming up to sit it going, look, this is what I done, this is what I found helpful, so that works. But the one thing I will say is some of the stuff that comes up there, it makes me question of what made them go, I want to go and be a driving instructor. Why are they actually there? And can they cope with what is starting to come through? Because some of them, I just sit there and go, I think they see the pound signs and go, because let's face it, when we learnt to drive, you were 10, 12 pounds an hour.
Exactly, 10, 12.
Exactly.
That's it.
Right. Now it's a lot more. Let's just leave it at that. But it is. But by the time you cover everything and walk away with a reasonable salary, correct? And I think they see the pound signs and go, let's get into this. But I think it's the drivers, on the other hand, that are suffering for it.
I think a lot of people just have this thought of, well, I can drive, so therefore I can do that job.
How many of them, though, can drive? Like, genuinely.
Yeah, you see a lot of them driving about and they've got their names in the car and you think, if you've got your name on the car, you should probably behave. People say that.
I don't have my name on the car.
You can be a bit more under the radar.
I am proper incognito to the point of other driving instructors. It's been put on our group chat several times going, Stacey, I waved to you, but I didn't wave to you until I was literally passing you. And I'm like, because I just have an L plate. It's all I have. I'm incognito.
I like driving the wife's car because it's sitting up there. It's just like playing, and I used to have a motorbike and I used to love flying about. When I say flying about, driving within the law. Nobody knows it's you. Right, so you part 2, you managed it fine. How'd you get on with part 3?
Pass first time.
Rare.
PST as well. And so back then you're talking first time pass with PST 11, 12%?
It was about 11.
I think it's so, in the current system, at our test centre, the pass rate's 26.
Do you think that's because it's not PSTs anymore and it's not the examiner doing the role play stuff?
Yes. Which, by the way, it was a bitch. You can say what you want, but that was horrendous.
Yeah, not knowing what you were going to get.
Horrendous. I remember sitting in that passenger seat feeling I had zero control. I genuinely don't know how I passed, like, zero clue. And I remember thinking that, going, I don't feel I have control here at all. That's how it felt. So at least there's that element of they probably do feel like they've got control, especially if they've had a pink badge. They've had that time to practice, and I like the pink badge for that. I think that's good as long as it's done correctly and isn't a money-making exercise, which a few are currently using it for, to pay these ridiculous franchise fees and everything that goes with it. But I do sit there and go, I do think the system is better in some ways, not in every way. But I do think it's better doing it this way because it's real, it's live, it's actually happening, unlike this made-up version of events that we had to put up with, which was ridiculous.
I remember that. It'd be like, my name's Bob, and I'm partly trained.
Yeah.
And I want you to teach me blah, blah, blah.
I can't even remember what, I think mine was PST 7, but I can't remember what, because remember you had 1 to 10.
That's right, there was 10.
There was 10, and you basically like, so if you got this, you'll get this for your second half, and you got this one, and I remember mine being PST 7, but to this day I couldn't tell you what that was. I generally couldn't remember, but I just remember the guy doing mine. I'm sure he must be near retirement age, but I generally remember him doing mine and me sitting there going, I do not feel like I have control at all. It was the weirdest thing because I've always felt like, in doing my job now, I feel like I do have control. I can intervene at any point, but I just felt it was just so go, 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 go. And your lessons aren't like that, but that's how it felt.
I didn't do it on the first one. I was the second attempt.
Were you?
My first one, I failed it miserably because I can't remember what the PST was, but it was what the number was, but it was crossroads.
Was that the first part or the second part?
It was the first part. And it was uncontrolled, so no traffic lights, and it was in Rosyth, so it was quite quiet. And the examiner kept coming up too fast to them, right? And at one point I had to brake.
You had to brake?
I had to brake.
Right.
Because I knew that he would have wanted me to brake with the way he was doing it. But I'm trying to think, why? I keep telling him, and everything my trainer had told me, he was like, if they keep doing it after you've told them, you've not said, there's something you've not said. And I was like, right, he keeps doing it, what have I not said? So anyway, at the end, he says to me, do you notice I was coming in too fast? I was like, did I notice? Of course, I tried everything to slow you down. He says, you know what you never done? I says, no, tell me. He says, you never told me on any of the approaches that this is a crossroads. And I was like, what? And he was like, yeah, all you need to say to me was, right, we're coming up to crossroads here.
Right. That's a bit crazy.
And that was it. He says he never identified. He was
Did you not feel that system is very far-fetched?
Oh, it was horrendous.
It was, eh? It really was very far-fetched if you think about it. If you look back on it now and what they do now, because obviously it's similar to what we do for, is it a standards check it's called?
Oh, it's the same, same as standards check.
It's the same thing. If you look at that and you go, why? Like, literally, why? It's insane.
He had I think my part, you know how it was 2 parts, right? Mm-hmm. The second part of the PST, the second half an hour, he changes his name. My name's Clive. It was something to do with signals, right? Mm-hmm. So he's coming up to a speed bump. Mm-hmm. He's got his hand out the window doing this to say slowing down. And I'm saying to him, like, you don't need to do that. And in role play, he's looking at me going, but I'm slowing down. I've got to let people know. And I can't remember what I said. I said something like, oh, you've got brake lights that will let people know behind you, thinking that that's maybe... Mm-hmm. And then he said something like, but I'm not braking, I'm just easing off the power. And I'm like, oh, he was being a total dick. I get that was his job. I know they're meant to do that. But he took the piss big.
That's how I feel. That is genuinely how I felt about it going. And that's how I go back to this whole not being in control. Literally taking the piss. There's no other way to describe it. Like, you look at it now and there's like, none of that happened. None of it. But now you know why the pass rate went from 11-12% to 26.
Well, I knew that it would have a big part on it, changing the fact that it's not role playing, it's a real person. Mm-hmm. But I also wondered if it was because we had such massive backlogs. I thought, maybe they want a wee bit more instructors on the road.
Can they stop, please?
I know. Let's dial that up a wee bit again.
We had, for one of our association meetings, we had Willie Davidson out.
Who's that?
Willie Davidson is the Scottish manager he runs the guys that do the testing for ADIs and check tests.
All right.
He came out. I know we're going to ask him to come out again this year. And he was saying about how it all works, how the system works, and how they call you in for like a check test. You know, it's all based on numbers. Let's face it, that's what it's all based on, numbers. And he was explaining how it all works. And you do sit there and you're like, so essentially you could have a student and you can have a regular instructor like me and yourself who will not take the piss, that will take them out, they'll do their lessons, you'll get into a decent standard knowing that you can essentially hand them your car key and go, off you go. But there will be instructors out there that will do twice the amount of hours easily. There's an instructor in our area who I won't name that turn around and they'll get in the car and they'll say you'll need a minimum of 100 hours.
They just say that to everyone.
Yeah, they do it deliberately so they can make sure that when they go to test that they will not fail, and it doesn't matter how long it takes them, it's a minimum of 100 hours.
Wow.
Which is insane if you think about it.
The costs of that.
Yeah, exactly. In this day and age, we've got this cost of living crisis, but people are trying to get on the road so they can get a better job, or, you know, they can get a job that works around their family or make their family life better, just life in general easier. And then you've got that going on and you're just like, come on, do you know?
And are people all right with that?
No. No.
How does it...
Like, are people all right with that? No.
How does it keep people? Because surely they're about to just be like...
I've had a few.
Yeah.
That's how I know about it. I've had a few. And I was just like, when I got the first one, and you'll be the same as me, you'll get somebody from another instructor and you take it with a pinch of salt.
Yeah.
You genuinely take it with a pinch of salt. And then you get another one and you're like, nee. And then you get another one. And then you get the calls from the other instructors going, have you ever had a person from this instructor? And I'm like, yeah, I have. And then I'm like, well, this is what I'm here. And I'm like, yeah, that's the same story I'm getting. And when you're going 100 hours is ridiculous. And they insist on a 2-hour lesson as well. So that's essentially a year's worth of training.
I mean, that's like double what the average is, isn't it? I mean...
I get the whole fact of taking them up to test and make that a good standard. And obviously, because we've got the test backlog just now, 6 months for a test? It's insane. And I get that and I understand that. But that is just absolutely ripping it. Literally ripping it. And
that's insane, eh?
I just wouldn't, no. And for me, that's just a complete no-go.
When I get somebody new, I go through this sort of a wee welcome thing and I'll say to them, even though it's going to be a while away, when it comes to the test, I explain that the book and sit their theory test on their own. And when I say to them about the driving test, I says, look, you can have our car on test if you're ready. If you're not ready and you want the car, you can't have the car. And I would say to them, there is options, you know, if you decide that you really want to try it before you're ready, you can go and get yourself a hire car or something. I says, but I'll not take you if I don't think you're ready. But 100 hours.
I know.
You might get somebody who takes
The fact that that's mandatory by that instructor, that's not even a question, literally mandatory. I was just like, when I first heard this, I mean, I recently had two people from that instructor, and I looked at both of them and went, have you sat a test? And they're like, not even passed my theory. And I'm like, why have you not passed your theory? Well, I wasn't told. And I'm like, go. Like, literally, that's what it's like. It's like, go and pass your theory. Well, kind of, just so you're getting used to the car. And they'd had like a theory book within a couple of weeks. They'd had a pass. And I'd be like, go and find a cancellation now. And they'd be like, you'd have to get them into the system first. And then you'd be like, you need to find a cancellation. And I had one girl that came back to me and she was just like, I've got one. I thought it was the 1st of next month, but it's actually tomorrow. And I was just like, and she's like, I'm really sorry. And I was like, do you know what? If you weren't ready, I would be like, no, tough, you're going to lose your money. I went, but you're good to go. And she passed.
It's hard.
What'd you do with that?
It's hard, because you'll have had this as well. You'll have had people that you take that you just wish they were a bit more sort of confident and competent, and they just nail it, they smash it, they really do well. And then you get the other ones that you'd bet your mortgage on them passing, and they just find some.
It's the ones that, for me, that you don't know about you and what the ones that you're like, you got. So I get, like I says, I get a lot of ADHD, autism. That's just, it seems to be what I get. But I also get the odd few that are a wee bit on the older side. And when I say older, I mean older than us.
Older than us.
Older than us, right?
God, they must be ancient.
I had a woman that was in her... I had a woman actually during COVID. She was in her 60s or late 60s. And she done it because her husband had passed away and her daughter was expecting a child. And that was when she decided. And she was like... And it was her daughter that convinced her to do it. And I recently had one. She was with me. We're talking about the 100 hours now. It sounds like I'm going to be at it, but I'm genuinely not. And it goes back to the whole test thing. But I had her solidly for 2 and a bit years. And she did not miss a lesson. Every week, the only time she missed a lesson was when I was on holiday. It's the only time she missed a lesson. And after about 6 months, she went and bought a car, but nobody would take her out in her wee car. Oh. Her husband eventually took her out, and it made the difference because I said to her, because originally she was 2 lessons a week. 1 lesson wasn't enough. We bumped it up to 2. Because of her age, she just couldn't retain the information. And then after a while, she's like, look, I'm going to go buy a car. And I was like, great. And eventually her husband started taking her out, and she was well over the 100 hours. But she didn't believe me that she was ready for test. Now, I know when you put this out, I'll probably put the link up, and I know for a fact her daughter will listen to it, and her daughter will be like, Mum, she's speaking about you. And she was lovely. Her and her daughter, they were lovely. They were such a nice family. But she wasn't ready for test. But I was like, do you know what? I'm going to let you go. I was almost proving a point. Does that make sense? And I'm going to let you go. And the examiners, because it's the same examiners we've had for years, and the examiner like took one look at me and he just knew. And so it was left at that, and he was just like, and it was a fail, and it was awful. And then she went again. I was just like, I okay? Like, that's where we're at. I okay? And I think that was the one that drilled it in, and her going, oh shit, I'm actually really genuinely not ready for this. Because I think the first one she kind of put down to on the day nerves, and I was like, I okay if that's what you think. And I told her that, and I was like, look, it's not, but if that's what you think. But that was the one that made her go, oh shit, I'm really not ready for this. And we were another 6-9 months down the line before she was actually ready. And when she passed with a clean sheet.
Nice.
And she actually turned around and said to me, she went, I wish I'd just listened to you in the first time, because she went, it knocked her confidence and it almost set her back more than what it really should have. Does that make sense? When you feel you have that knock back, but this was like, again, and I think she knew that within herself, and it was like, aye, okay.
Do you think that, I mean, obviously, if you're coming to a driving instructor, you're there to learn. Why else would you be giving somebody money, right? But do you think sometimes people think they know best because there's part of them that thinks that we're just taking extra money or want more money for them? Do you think that's a thing in general?
Yeah, I also think, though, back to what we were talking about earlier, I think cost of living plays a part in it. I think people are trying to get through on the total minimum number of hours because the factors of learning to drive isn't cheap anymore. Well, it was never cheap in the first place, but driving lessons aren't cheap anymore. And I think people are just trying to scrape by. Well, back in the day, they done it in 10 hours, they done it in 20 hours. Why are you wanting 40, 45, 50 hours out of me? I think that plays a part in it. And I would like to say it doesn't, but I genuinely believe that. People are wanting to better their life, but they can't always afford to take the big step to do it.
This is going to sound harsh, right? But it's true. Driving lessons are dear. Mm-hmm. But it's... Have
you seen our running costs? You're right there, dear.
They have to be.
They have to be, yeah.
Do you know it's more expensive to learn how to play an accordion than it is to learn how to drive a car?
Oh, really?
Accordion lessons, you're like £60 an hour.
Wow.
You've got to go to the guy's house with your own accordion. All
right. I mean, so you have to fund the accordion. So it's not even like we're asking for to rock up to the house and go, can I have a shot at your car?
That guy's sitting there. I mean, I don't work at an accordion. He tells you to do this, right? His car isn't at risk. He's not using any petrol or his life.
Or his life.
He's charging $60 an hour. Singing lessons more than driving lessons.
Oh, really?
Yeah. You look it up. It costs more to learn how to sing.
Which is really interesting, though, because people moan at us because how much it costs to learn to drive. To be fair, actually, I don't get the complaint, but I do hear other instructors complaining, and it's generally the ones that are on the franchises and the price is potentially set by them. Does that make sense? I hear that a lot. We hear that over our way a lot. The big schools, we hear that because we're charging more, and they're like, well, why are you charging more? And it's like, well, they're charging you and they're still taking your franchise fee, but you don't have the experience that we have, or maybe done the additional training that we have. And I get the fact that these franchises are expensive, but they do sit and they complain, but they're walking away with not very much. See, if you sit and you work it out, there's one girl that I know who's charging quite a considerably much lower amount than me, and she's in a franchise, and by the time that she has sat and taken everything off, I reckon she's making just above minimum wage.
I mean,
which is insane in our job. If you think how much we're charging per hour, that should not be the case.
No.
It shouldn't be.
It always baffles me as well if you get a phone call, right, from somebody's mum or dad, right, and they're like, I'm wanting lessons for my 17-year-old.
Is this you that deals with a call, or is this Donna?
It used to be Donna.
Oh, is she not doing it anymore?
No. About a year ago, she stopped doing the admin for me, and she's now working in a care home full time.
Oh, is she? Check her out.
Night shifts and
she fancy joining you on the road.
I've asked her loads of times if she wants to do it, but it doesn't appeal to her.
Scott's the same.
It doesn't fancy it.
No, a few years ago it looked like, because obviously you know where he works. A few years ago they were doing voluntary redundancy. The job was finished that had been there for years. There was no work. There was literally no work. They were talking about sending him out to other areas. He was literally going into his work and sitting at a desk and was physically had nothing to do. There was no work, to the point of he was like, I might get paid off you. And I was just like, well, because of obviously childcare, his son's with us half the week. And I was just like, I know this could be an option. And he did. He started the process. He registered. That's as far as the process got. He registered, had the background checks done. But he openly admitted, going, it does not appeal to me. But the only thing that made him do it was the fact of the kids. That was it. It was purely that. But we've talked about it since then. And he's like, I couldn't think of anything worse.
Yeah, I guess it takes a certain person to want to do this.
Do you think?
I can't imagine doing anything else.
Neither could I. I've tried. I revert back.
But what I was saying there, when you get a call, right, and it's somebody's parent, and they're like, I'm wanting lessons from a kid, and they'll say how much you know. We're £45 an hour.
Manual or auto?
Both. Is that more or less than you guys?
A lot less.
What are you guys?
55.
Wow, an hour. We're 45. Christ.
If an hour and a half, I take 85, which is 52.50.
I'm calling a team meeting instantly. We're 45 an hour and 50 an hour for evenings and weekends.
I couldn't think of anything worse working an evening or a weekend.
I know.
I generally couldn't.
And that's why the price is more. But
No, I hear that a lot more though. I do hear that more and more as the years have gone on. It was something I never considered before, but I have heard people saying evenings and weekends. And I do get it because I like being at home with my kids at night. I like being at home with my kids and Scott at the weekend.
But no, I think it's time for
a team meeting. Do you know something? We actually talked about relocating. Our house is up for sale just now. We talked about relocating, coming back the way.
Where are you? Grangemouth? Falkirk?
No, I come under Livingston Test Centre. So we live just outside Livingston. We're just outside Whitburn. So we're looking to move. And one of the areas I'd said to Scott was Kirkliston. It means he's still close for his work. I could potentially still work Livingston. And then I went, but I could literally nip over the bridge and go to Dunfermline. But it was to still keep the kids in school within reason, even though they've only got probably 1 or 2 years left. And I was just like, I wonder how Gary would feel about that if I started stomping on his territory.
More competition.
You'd be sitting there going, how much is she making?
Well, you'd either have to drop your prices for this area or we all put them up to match you.
What a shame. You just need to put them up to match. That means I'd have no franchise fee though. I'm negotiating now just in case.
But no, what always surprises me is when you tell them the price and they'll say, oh, that's awfully expensive. But these same people will be putting £60 an hour out for their kids to learn how to sing, and you think
it's a life skill that you're literally teaching. Like this skill is genuinely a life skill. It's like it's a difference between sometimes getting a job and not getting a job. I mean, I've got a girl who's learning with me just now. She works in a nursery, but she's got a degree in something to do with childhood practice. She went to go for another job. Went for the interview, and at the very, very end, they asked her if she could drive. And she was like, no, but I'm taking lessons. And she was just like, is that an issue? Because it wasn't in the job advertisement. And they were like, the job's actually community-based. So they looked back, the advert, and it did not have it in the advert that it was 1, community-based, and 2, you required a driving licence. And they said that she would have got the job if it hadn't been for that, because they couldn't guarantee that she would pass her test, and because of the backlog with tests. That was why she never got the job. That was purely the reason why she got it. It was such a shame.
that is a shame, eh?
But it just shows you that is the difference that it makes between getting a job and not getting a job. It's crazy.
Aye. What advice would you give to someone who wanted to become an instructor? Would you encourage it or
No,
put them
not
off?
just now. Nope.
Not in my area.
Not in my area. Move on. Swiftly move on. What advice would I give? Stay away from the big schools. The small schools like yourself or the individuals like myself are the way forward. 100%.
I've had 3 instructors from Red. I'm pretty sure I could say that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Join your franchise.
Just don't think they were very happy at the big schools.
I think the big schools I think it's, somebody actually described it to me in a message the other day when they were, because I'm now, unfortunately, I was the mug that got bullied into being chairperson of the association.
Oh, yeah.
Literally, you have no idea. I got bullied into that. You have no idea. So this has been going on for about 18 months. But anyway, somebody messaged me the other day, and I'm actually really, really good friends with his wife, and they're both driving instructors. And he messaged me, and he's like, it's almost like it's a leasing company. It's not about the training, and it's not about that part of it. For them, it's about the cars, because they're getting £250, £300 a week.
That's the franchise fee.
That's the franchise fee. Which, if you think about it, it's expensive, because by the time you do your own car, but if you do think about it though, that hasn't actually gone up in 15 years. Because I remember BSM, I was BSM, but at the time they had a part-time franchise that I went under, and the full-time franchise was when you worked, they reckon 20 hours or more, and then they would flip you to the fixed rate of $250 a week. And that's still the rate now.
Bloody
But
hell.
it's still a lot of money though.
You've got to work a lot just to cover the franchise, eh?
Yeah. Yeah, we still have the car to pay and the insurance and whatever, but it's not £250 a week.
That's scary money.
It's very scary money.
What would you say is the best and the worst part about this job?
Best part, I can go on holiday next week if I want to. Literally, it's the fact, and it's the flexibility.
The work-life balance, eh?
Yeah. And for a long time, I never had that. Even like when you're building your business, sometimes you still don't have that. You're working the evenings, you're working the weekends, but now it's just a straight no.
Yeah.
If I want to go off and do something with Scott, the kids and the dogs, I can go and do that.
You think back to jobs where you've got to ask permission for time off, and it's like, wow, it seems like a lifetime ago.
I mean, Scott's really lucky and they're quite flexible with that, but he is. I mean, he got to, I think, Christmas last year, and his holidays run from May to May, and he had no holidays after Christmas. Oh. So he had to do a solid 5 months or 4 months of just work, and couldn't take any time off with it. It was just like, right, cool, we're off. See you later.
Definitely the best part, eh?
It is the work-life balance. I think if you don't have that, you end up being in a potentially unhappy place, and trying to come out of that, I think, could be hard.
Yeah. I remember being in a job I just didn't know what to be in. Mm-hmm. I think I was just grumpy all the time and unhappy.
But now you can spend time, you can take that off, and you can spend it with Donna and Cody, and, you know?
Yeah.
And
we're lucky. We're lucky.
Mm-hmm. And I would never go back to a regular job for that reason. I couldn't go back to working for somebody for that reason.
Same. So what about the worst part then? What do you think? I don't know if worst is the right word of what I'm trying to ask here, but like pros and cons, right? What's the downside to this job, do you say?
I don't know. I don't know if there is a downside.
What an answer.
I don't know. The current downside, the only thing is, and it's not even our downside, it's the DVSA's downside, is this whole 6 months for a driving test. But see, if you take that away, what is the downside? Like, genuinely. I mean, the only thing I could think of is if you're in an accident, you've got negative equity in your car, you might not get what you thought it was worth. That is generally like the worst thing I could think of, is that my financial agreement would be a wee bit short. That is it.
Do you know that ties in with who our sponsor is?
Right, go on.
Well, it's a Fife-based company, right, called Complete Accident Solutions, Scotland. And what they do is, if you're in an accident and it's not your fault, that's the key thing here.
I know what you're going to say. Instead of going through your insurance company, you get these guys to deal with it.
They don't charge you. They fight the other, you know, they go through the other insurance and they do.
I've used a company like that before.
Did you?
It obviously wasn't them, it was just somebody'd hit the car. And actually, what a difference.
I didn't even know it was a thing.
Oh, did you not?
No, I just thought, if you're in an accident, you have to go through your insurance company, pay your excess, And we had a chat, and I was like, oh, really didn't know.
What you done?
Yeah.
I've used them before. Not that company, but I have used that service before.
That's
and
cool.
it's definitely worthwhile. It's definitely a worthwhile service, and I would do it again.
In a no-fault crash, don't you stress. Get it sorted fast with cash. If you're in a crash, call cash. If you're in a crash, call cash. If you're in a crash, call cash. Call us today on 0800.
So if you're ever in a non-fault accident, just remember, Complete Accident Solutions Scotland has your back. Visit complete-accident-solutions.co.uk or call 0800 644 0174 for free impartial advice. Have you been in accidents whilst on lessons?
Yes.
Not
Never in an auto.
Oh, okay.
Always in a manual.
If I was in an accident, I would happily say, "Go! I don't know what doing this. You do it."
That's why I done it. I was like, I don't want to deal with it. I'm too busy.
Ball ache on the phone to...
And they don't even take, I don't know about these guys, but they don't take a fee. Normally the fee is recovered from the other side. I don't know about these guys.
No, they don't charge a penny?
Yep.
Because that was one of the questions when I spoke to her on the phone. I says, how do you guys make money if you don't charge the customers? They're like, no, it's through the other party.
Yeah, they charge the other party instead.
Right, here's a question that I'd want to ask you, right? I'm guessing this happens a lot because we get it a lot. You get a phone call for somebody saying that they've got a test booked for, the same week or something. They're just wanting a car. How do you deal with them?
No. Literally no. I'm as blunt as they come. Anybody who knows me knows that I'm as blunt as they come. Honestly, we were in one of these association meetings and I was just as blunt, and they're all looking at me and I'm like, yeah, that's how it goes. Aye. But anybody, I'm just like, I don't know who you are. I don't know what I don't know what stage you're at. And I'm not prepared to risk my car because, like we've just literally talked about, that's my job.
Yeah.
Anything happens to that car.
It's your car, it's your badge.
But
So
if that anything happens to that car, what am I meant to do for work? Like, how long is it going to take me to get a courtesy car? Am I going to get a courtesy car? Nah. Game just not even happening. But you guys, you'll probably get it a bit more, I think, because obviously you've got you and then however many instructors that work for you. So you've obviously got quite a big presence within the area. So you'll probably hear it more than what I do.
we get all the time. And I don't know if people are a little bit crafty when they phone, because they'll say, oh, I'm looking for some lessons.
Aye.
So I now just say, do you have a test booked? And if they say yes, and I'll say, when is it? Is it, and they'll say, oh, it's on Friday. And I'm like,
How long have you been waiting to use that?
I've been there for about 30 seconds with this finger. No, I'm just like, no, I'm sorry.
Next.
I think what you're needing is a hire car company, not a driving school.
Do you think people are doing it deliberately? So it looks like if they're rocking up with a driving school, that as opposed to rocking up in a dual control car from...
Maybe I need to start. That's probably what I should ask them: is why are you needing a car? Why don't you have already?
instructor.
Yeah,
Funny you should mention that because a local examiner said that. So for people who are listening that don't know how the system works, when you book your driving test, you have the option to put in the driving instructor's number. And I've had the examiner say, they know you after a while, and we've been in the game for a long time, so they know roughly. They'll be like, oh, that's Stacey, or oh, that's Gary, and they know that. And an examiner turned around and says, the person will come up, they'll rock up in that dual control car, and they'll be like, oh yeah, my instructor couldn't take me, he's away on holiday, or my instructor couldn't take me, he was busy. And he'd be like, they'd be out on the test, and he would see that instructor out on the road teaching.
busted.
And he's just like, because they have refused, so they've gone to somewhere else trying to get it, and everybody's going, absolutely no chance. And you guys are the same as us. You'll have that chat going, and everybody starts talking about it because everybody's going, don't touch this, because nobody wants that in their car, or nobody in their right mind wants that in their car. And then the examiners are seeing it coming through, and just because that person is either being told by their instructor that they're not ready, or they're just winging it.
Yeah. Maybe they should change the rules. Maybe they shouldn't be allowed to just rock up and maybe they need a driving school car. Do you know what? Maybe it's not a driving school car they need. Maybe they need an instructor's approval. Like their blessing. We think you can go. We think you won't kill that examiner. Right?
Population control. Which examiner do we not like?
But I don't know. People just, I find it much easier now to just say sorry. No, we don't give our cars out unless we've done the training and we know the person's abilities.
You're so polite. I like that. I'm not. I'm so blunt. I literally sometimes I'll get the message and I won't even respond sometimes because I just go, and I probably should.
Let's do a bit of roleplay, right? I'm gonna phone you, right?
Well, that's interesting because I never answer the phone. Unless your name comes up on the screen and I know who you are, I never answer my phone.
Well, let's try this, right? So hi, I need a driving instructor. Can you help me?
No. But I don't have the capacity for what you're talking about, or the people that turn around and say, can I borrow your car for a fee of whatever for this Friday? I don't have the capacity to entertain it. And it's just because there's a lot of people out there that have spent a lot of money and put a lot of hard work in. A lot of hard work. And do you know what? They deserve to be in that seat. And I sit and go, you're winging it, And I do think that that's a problem with the current system. There's a lot of people winging it because, do you know what? See if they fail. 60 quid. And I think this is the problem. It's
too
60
cheap.
quid. So there's other people that deserve to be in that seat. My own students who have shown loyalty to me, and in turn, I've done what they've asked.
Yeah.
They deserve that seat first, and they always will. Not somebody that's sat and phoned
100%.
every time.
I just don't understand the planning. Why people phone and say, I've got a test tomorrow and need a car. I'm like,
Well, you knew that.
Why?
You booked it.
Why are you phoning me today? I don't get it.
But the question really is, what happened between you booking that test? Because let's face it was probably 6 months ago, unless it's a cancellation. What happened between you booking that test and your test?
I think
What's
a lot of them
happened?
are cancellations with these apps that you get, right?
Don't. Aye. No, I know what you mean. I do think a lot. But again, it comes back to when we were talking about my student earlier. If your student is ready and they turn around and say, right, I've got a test tomorrow, would you accommodate it?
Oh, if they were ready?
Yes.
And I had been doing training with them and I knew them? Oh, yeah. I mean, it would probably be quite easy to... Well, all you'd have to do is look at your diary the next day, see who you've got. If it isn't someone who's, like, critical, they've got, like, a test coming up soon or something, yeah, you could move them about, eh?
But I think that's a sign of a good instructor or somebody that's... Again, it comes back down to the loyalty, I think. They've stuck with you, they've trained with you, you provided a service, you've got to that point, then if I can help you, then I will. I genuinely believe that. And I'll always put my students first. But if somebody was to rock up and say, I've got a test this Friday, I'd be like, and? How can I help? Because I can't.
The thing is, when for as much as it frustrates me a bit, they don't know. It's our job to educate them and just say, like, this is not cool. This is not the done thing. You need a car. Go and hire a car. Go and take your friend's car.
There'll be an instructor out there, though. And we see it.
Just cash in.
Cash in. It's all about the money. It's not about the training and making sure that they're ready, that there will be somebody out there that will take that person. Do you do block bookings?
No,
I don't think that's even a thing anymore. But you still get the inquiries for how much you for a block of 10. I was like, I couldn't tell you the last time I'd done a block book, and I don't think I've block booked since
years ago.
2017, 2018.
When people hear that and they go, really, don't do it, and I'm like, well, do you go to Tesco and give them money for 10 pints of milk at once and then just get your milk one of the week?
Exactly.
No, we done that. We stopped a long time ago.
Yeah, I was the same. I was one of the first in my area to stop. And a lot of people followed suit afterwards. The same with the waiting list. Don't run a waiting list. And people are like, why? And I'm like, because I used to run a waiting list, and then you'd phone somebody and you'd be like, hi, right, space is available, and they'd be like, oh, I started with Jimmy down the road.
Aye. That's what
4 weeks ago, and I was like...
That's what Donna was essentially doing, managing a waiting list as best you could, phoning people and just saying, like, you're still looking for lessons, we'll get to you as soon as we can. This all started because I got a 1-star review on Google. This is true. Somebody got in touch with me. This was, I think it was after COVID. I want lessons. I went, right, you have to wait, but I'll get to you as soon as I can. And I even says to them on the text, I was like, it might be a few weeks, it might be longer. So I had sent them that confirmation message. Quite literally 2 weeks later, a 1-star review went on.
Wow.
But she basically just says, I got ghosted by the company. They never got back to me. And I was just...
Do you not think, though, right, and go with me, when somebody makes an inquiry, that you can tell a lot about that person from the inquiry? So in this case, if somebody was to leave a 1-star review after 2 weeks, and after you've said that, that to me says that they don't have any patience. They don't have the patience.
Yeah.
So I'll have people, so my page is called Automatic Driving Lessons Bathgate, right? So it's in the name, and people will message me and go, do you teach automatic? To me, that says, well, that's just lack of observations, isn't it? So, literally, that is literally the process that I go through.
I like that.
You're just like, come on, like...
I replied. I actually started typing a reply, because Google lets you reply, and I was raging. And I recognised halfway through, I was like, I need to not send this right now.
Oh, well done, because I would have been... I would have.
I need to be professional in this, what I was typing, wasn't it? So I left it, and then the next day, I'd done a better response.
I probably just would have got Scott to write it, because I would have been raging.
I actually like screenshotted the reply and I was like, and I think you'll find I said this to you, and I done this, and blah 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 blah. So literally hundreds of 5-star reviews, no 4s or 3s or 2s, and this one.
Raging away, because it just brings the whole... You go 5, 5, 5, and it'll say 5-star, your average, and that just brings the whole average down.
You'll not. It doesn't even affect the average. It still says 5 somehow.
Oh, does it?
Because it's like 1 out of hundreds. But it's in there.
Yeah,
And I
I'd
can't
be the
take it
same.
off.
I would be. You can't on Google. You can't.
And
Not
that
that I
is
know, because I don't get people to leave it on Google. Most of my inquiries come through Facebook. So if I say you're going to leave it, that's what
do
you
it there.
Because again, if you put me into Google search engine, my Facebook page comes above everything else.
Right. Well, that's why I come up with the idea of like, right, it's
Is this how all this started? Because you got a 1-star review and you were raging, so you thought you would tell the world about it in this manner.
not the podcast, but
Because your first podcast was with Donna. It was not about this, eh? I didn't listen
That's
to the
right.
first one, but I've listened to the ones that had all the instructors in it because I was interested to hear their point of views.
that's right. Donna did the first. Was it the first one or two? I can't remember. But her job. See, she was working as in care. When Cody came along, she stopped working for a couple of years or whatever to look after him, and then she was like wanting to start working again, and it tied in with the time when I got this shitty review, and I was like, maybe I could pay you a salary and you could be my, I don't know, admin manager. So that's what happened. I says, what I don't want is for anyone else to be pissed off that I've not got back to them, because I can't do it all. It's grown too big now. I can't be in touch with everyone and
I do find, even until recently, the amount of inquiries I was getting was crazy. And I have an automated response on my page, so when people message. So I've got an Instagram page and a Facebook page. They're obviously connected. And I have an automated response. And it says, this is an automated response, but as it currently stands, I don't have any spaces, but for future reference, here's my prices. And it's all there. And there's a local Facebook group to the area that we're in. And somebody put up there going, looking for automatic instructors. And I got tagged quite a few times. And she turned around and she said, I tried contacting them, but I didn't get a response. And I'm like,
there was
the
an auto
response
response.
was literally there. I told you that I'm not going to respond, and I've told you why I'm not going to respond, and I've told you it's an auto response.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, but I did respond. I just didn't follow up personally, go, oh, I'm really sorry, because you're on the road from whatever time till whatever time. So in my case, I start at 9:30 and I finish at 6:15. And then I go home and I've still got a life to have. So I'm like, hang on a minute. That is not right, you know?
I had Jillian, who's one of my instructors, in here the other day. We're talking about the same sort of thing, and she says that she reckons people are like this now in society because everything's changed from, everything's instant now. Like, you want to watch a movie, it's instant. You don't have to go and rent it or find it or buy
Remember
it.
back in the days when you used to go to Blockbuster?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's not. You have Netflix, you have Prime, they're all there.
So the on-demand phrase
Yep.
has made people just want things like that, and if they don't get it, 1-star review. I'll always be better about that, I think.
I would be the same. I 100% get where you're coming from, because you'll have those students that, for whatever reason, it just doesn't work. I can normally tell really early if this is going to work or not. And if I don't feel it's clicking, if they want to stay, I won't have the conversation going, oh, we don't click, but I will be like, right, okay. And I always sit there and expect something. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Just because it's just not there.
What's the golden tip you give every learner on that hour before their test, or even just 10 minutes before that examiner?
If you don't hear the instruction or you're not sure of what it is, just ask again. Every time. Because the last thing I want is, and even things like, or my other favourite one is, if you've set yourself up to go the wrong way and you've realised it doesn't matter. So if you come up to a roundabout and you're meant to be going right and you set yourself up to go left, just go left.
Yeah.
It really doesn't matter.
People know that if they're in a lane that they shouldn't be in, the safe and logical thing to do is just to stay in it and just go where it takes you, and you'll be fine. Reroute. But in the heat of the moment, people panic, right? And they just go, oh, shit, and they pull the car without a check and all this.
Or they go all the way around in the wrong line and roundabout, turning right from the left lane.
Yeah.
That's probably true though, because where we are, there's the Morrison's roundabout, and the Morrison's roundabout is a spiral roundabout, but it's got controlled by traffic lights, and it's one of the busiest roundabouts in the whole of Livingston. And you will have learners before you've even got out the industrial estate on lesson number 1 that will turn around and be like, I'm not looking forward to roundabouts because of Morrison's roundabout. And I'm just like, why?
That's
so the
funny.
mindset is already there, eh? So when they get to then test, even though we can have covered that thousands of times, or we can hit that from every angle, every lesson, if they really wanted, they will still be like, and they'll say to me, they'll be like, I had the dreaded Morrison's roundabout and I'm coming up to it. And I'm like,
how do you we've got spirals up like in Dunfermline, right? We've got the same kind of things. How do you, like, there's so many different ways you can go around that roundabout. You can come on at exit 1 and off at 3, come on at 2 and off at 5. So if there's 5 on and 5 off, there's 25 different ways that you can go around this roundabout, right? Different pathways and stuff. It's just one roundabout. I say to the guys all the time, like, we can't go around all 25 variants of it. And even if we did, it doesn't mean you're going to remember them all.
no.
Like, and that would add up an awful lot of hours
Yeah.
on the training.
I always make sure that I probably cover specifically on like the spirals, because we've got the difficult ones, I would say 3 really difficult spirals. One of them is really difficult because the markings are faded, and you've got a lot of lorries that go around it, a lot of buses that go around it, and it goes down on the motorway as well and off the motorway. So there's a lot going on, and the markings are all faded, and there's people failing on it because they're like, well, you're not in your lane. You're like, which lane? Like, I can't see, so pick a lane, you know? And it gets a wee bit like that. But I will always make sure that I will try and cover probably the more complicated part of it. Does that make sense? We'll start off with the easy bit. Maybe just going left, because they've got that mindset of, oh, it's Morrison's roundabout. And I'm like, it's a roundabout. It really doesn't matter. And then I'll maybe make the point of doing like, right, straight ahead, second exit. But then after that, I'll say, right, we're going to mix it up and take the more complicated ones. But because they've nailed that first, we've made it easy to start with. All of a sudden, it's like, oh, actually, that isn't as bad as what I thought. So you take away the fear by making it easy to start with. So when the more complicated bit comes up, like, oh yeah, I get that.
I mean, the right turns are obviously the ones where they're going to have a harder time, because at some point they're going to have to move out and follow their lane out on the spirals. I'll just say to them, if you're on that inside lane and you're not sure whether you should push out or not, just stay in on the inside and just go round. And then you'll come to another point where you can push out or not. And I'm like, just stay in, go round. You can go round a few times if you really want.
I have had that though, where people are on the roundabouts and they're just like, what if I miss my exit? I'm like, just keep going. They're like, what? I'm like, just keep going. I was like, don't get me wrong, everybody else around you will be looking at you being like, what's she up to?
Yeah,
you'll
get a bit dizzy.
It doesn't matter. It's all relevant. Do you know? It's like, gets you back on path. Who cares? Do you know?
That's interesting that you have those ones as well. Like we've got
that Morrison's one though. I do feel though, because that one has recently been remarked, and the problem with the remarking is like the council have decided that they're cutting costs, so we're only going to remark part of it.
Oh, for God's sake, man!
So they've remarked part of it. So you go on, you follow signs for, one of them is Livingston South, and it's technically, according to the road sign, it's a straight ahead, but it's actually a right. And you go in the lane and you follow it round. And I always say to them when I teach it, you've got your dotted lines when you go on, stay in between your white lines and drive over the right in. And I've taught that for years, and they decided that the last part, where they come off, where it says Livingston South, that was the part they weren't going to repaint. So I'm just like, come on, like, just come on, you know? And it's just, and then we've also, like I said earlier on, we've got the one that has no markings now because they're so faded that you actually can't see them anymore. There's nothing there. It's like, how can you have a spiral roundabout with 4 lanes, by the way, and you can't see a single one of them? How does that work?
We should have a competition where I've got to drive round your roundabouts, you've got to drive round mine. See who mucks up the most.
See, this would make great YouTube content for your YouTube channel. That's what we should do, right?
That's an idea.
We should do that.
We should have a driving instructor off. Or a spiral off.
Mine's worse than yours.
Thank you so much for coming in. Round of applause for you.
Thank you.
Air horn.
I go on then. Yes. Yes.
We've made it. We've done it. We're out.